sidelines empty. Rings for the Rams. A Lombardi Trophy for Los Angeles. 23-20 is the final on their home field here at SoFi Stadium in Super Bowl 56. The Los Angeles Rams are world champions.
Here's the finish. 2-1 Edmonton. Sagan pumps it down low. Bouchard snakes it around. Puts it from the cover wide. Jason Robertson. 3 seconds. He's gonna have to block. This game, this series is over. Edmonton's heading to the Stanley Cup final.
You're listening to The Manning Show with you and Manning. 30 minutes of straight sports talk starts now.
Welcome back. It's been a little while. It's been a little while since I've posted an episode. For a few reasons. I'll get into them in a second, but just wanted to let everyone know because I have a lot of family that listens and stuff that I'm hopefully that I'll stick on this for the time to come, because I kind of stayed with the pod for a little bit and then just kind of was busy and stuff. You know, I have 2 broadcasting jobs and now I have a writing site, unsports.com. So, you know, I'm still getting my fair share of sports. It was just tough to do the pod, and I think I realized that it was an important part of my identity and something that I want to continue to keep doing. So I thought, well, this is a good time to bring it back, and I got unsports.com going. So I was like, after that, well, it's time to bring back the pod where I can, you know, bring people on and hopefully bring in some more good interviews and stuff like that as, you know, we move on. So let's just get right into it, because it's been a while since, I think it was last February after the Super Bowl. That was my last episode, and then it's almost December 10th as I'm recording this. It's Wednesday, December 10th at 8:09 p.m. So, you know, this was a fun summer. The Elks obviously didn't perform or didn't make the playoffs. The Blue Jays had a crazy run. We'll get into that in a bit, but it was a crazy playoffs for the MLB, and Blue Jays, really heartbreaking stuff. Probably the most heartbreaking loss I've ever had as a fan. More heartbreaking than the Oilers Game 7, for sure. But, you know, I didn't expect the Blue Jays to do that, but that's not what we're starting with. We're starting with the Oilers. And the Oilers have had a very interesting start to the season, you could say. Right now in the Pacific standings, as I look down, they're sitting in the fourth spot, the second wild card spot, 13-11-6. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and are coming off a loss against the Buffalo Sabres, who are the worst team in the league in terms of stats. So that's not obviously that great, but on the good side, they have looked a little better as of late. They were coming off a big 6-2 win against the Jets and a 9-4 win against the Kraken, and they probably should have beat the Wild. I was at that game when, of course, Jesper Wallstedt had another shutout in that game. He's kind of cooled off as of late, but 1-0 for the Wild in that game. We are recording this. I'm recording this before the Red Wings game, Thursday, December 11th at 7 o'clock. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. The Oilers, they're battling, man. They've been battling with some injuries, some guys who had to come into the lineup late. Hyman and Wallman came in late, and then guys kind of dropped down, some bottom six guys. They've obviously been missing Jack Roslovic, who has been absolutely on fire as he joined the team this season. So they're not fully healthy, which is fair, and That's not the total reason, though, why they're struggling, because defensively they are one of the worst 5-on-5 teams in 5-on-5 defending, and the goaltending has not been great either. Both goalies sitting at under 900 save percentages. So again, it's not been the year that we would have wanted to start, but the Oilers normally come around, and right now it's looking as if they're starting to figure things out. And that last game against Buffalo was not a good one. McDavid kind of kept him in it, and then it's just so tough, man. They struggle at the start of the season, and they figure it out. Normally go on a tear in January, February, so I'm not too worried about it. They're going to make the playoffs. Just going to be interesting to see what they do at the deadline, if they go address and get a goaltender, or they go get a defenseman, or they, so I'm not really sure about that type of stuff, because they need some bottom depth. I'm not going to lie. They need some bottom six depth. They lost all of it, and those guys are doing well and elsewhere. So they need some bottom six depth for sure. Matt Savoy has been one of the highlights of the year. He's been looking really good as of late. They need a sixth shutdown defenseman. I've been saying this for a long time, because you can't have guys who are rotating in and out of the lineup like Regula, Amberson. They're not going to be your sixth defenseman, right? You need a guy who's going to be shut down and locked down as we get further and further and deeper, right? So that's just the big thing, is trying to, get some more depth. And goaltending, I would not complain if there's a new goalie. As much as there's some stats that back up Stuart Skinner, and he's just not an elite goalie, and I think we know that just based on all the stats, right? So it's just important that the Edmonton Oilers are able to get a goaltender and are able to address that this year or next year, unless Stuart Skinner finds a way to go on a run and get a big contract. But his contract does expire at the end of this year. He is making a nice $2.6 million, which is really good for the Oilers cap space. But, that's just the big thing, is trying to make a move, in my opinion. Look for guys who are going to come in and make immediate impacts, similar to Matthias Ekholm, or like just a similar ad like Jack Roslovic, Evander Kane, guys in the past who have came in and just really boosted the team. And that's just something the Oilers need, especially defensively. They just really look not great defensively, and I think that can be changed pretty quickly. But other than that, for the Oilers, it's been a slow start. Evan Bouchard hasn't been great. McDavid's sitting at second in points in the league. So, it hasn't been great, but again, you never know, right? They're going to turn this thing around, and I really do believe that. The NHL standings, there's some surprising teams. The Bruins are sitting in second in the Atlantic. I think they'll die off. The Wings are in third. The Blackhawks are having an absolute year. Connor Bedard has been absolutely on fire. He's sitting top 5 in points. The Sharks somehow are having a crazy year. They're 14-3, right behind the Oilers with 31 points. They are on fire, mostly because of Macklin Celebrini. He's also top 5 in points, so those guys are really figuring it out. But the biggest surprise is the Anaheim Ducks at 19-10. A lot of people said that this was going to be their year to make the playoffs, but they are playing some really good hockey. They're on a 3-game heater right now. They're 11-4 at home. So, again, that really speaks to their play. And, they got some young studs, Leo Carlson, Cutter Gauthier, who are on fire. Troy Terry's having a good year. Mason McTavish is figuring it out. The D are figuring it out too, Lacombe. And, they got some good goaltending in Dostal. So, it's they're finding ways to win hockey games, and they're playing well defensively, and that's the big thing for them, right? So, just kind of didn't expect it, but that's where they are. But it's been a pretty good year for the NHL fantasy-wise, really in every way. There's been some surprises. Some guys who are overperforming, underperforming, but nothing really too crazy stat-wise. If I told you Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid were 1 and 2 in points, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. If I told you Celebrini, Rantanen, and Natchez Bedard are the next few, you wouldn't believe me. So that's been a little while. Obviously, the Oilers lost again to the Panthers. That's how long it's been. So I apologize for not putting out an episode, but yeah, holy cow, that's some pretty entertaining stuff. Let's move on here. To a little Jay's off-season stuff because, as it is, I really, really had a great time. I got to go to a lot of the Toronto games and got to go to 2 World Series games, and, it was a great time that I had. Just being a Jays fan, that was the greatest run I've ever watched. George Springer's home run in Game 7 against the Mariners. Like, it's just stuff like that, man, where it's like, that's what we needed. Just unreal. Like, what a run. So many guys came through in those moments, and I haven't talked about it really. I haven't been able to set myself and talk about it because of just the pain that it brings. They were right there. We're not going to get into specifics about the final game because that's just it's going to hurt me, but it was a crazy run. It really set up the future. It let people know that the Jays are real. They're the real deal, and I'm proud of those guys because that's a tough thing to do. They beat a lot of good baseball clubs and should have won in the final one. They outplayed the Dodgers in probably 5 of the 7 games. So, again, it's just a huge shout out to those guys. But the how do I put this? The tables change very quickly as now we're in the off season, and we're kind of coming in like, okay, well, the Toronto Blue Jays history with the postseason is not great. It's not great at all. After the playoffs, they are not good at signing guys, and they proved that they're able to get past that postseason, right? They won their series. They won a lot of series and dominated and probably should have won the World Series. But after you lose that, now you have to prove that your management can go make moves because we know Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, they took runs at these guys but just couldn't get it done. So, like I said, it's important that they went and go do that because they need to go and get over the top, which they probably should have, but they didn't because of some closing pitching. We're not going to get into it. But they made one big signing, Dylan Cease, who is an excellent young arm. He hasn't had great numbers. He had a 4 ERA last year, but his expected ERA is, based on real ERA, is one of the lowest. So, that's just a big shout out to him because he made a lot of money. This is a $200 million contract over 5 years. But if they get him right at this spot, and the Jays have some great pitching coaches, Pete Walker, like they can get this guy turned around. They have some really good pitching staff. They have a great rotation. They brought back Bieber on an option, which was absolutely huge. They underpaid him. So they're going to have a great rotation between the stud that came in and pitched his absolute heart out. It's just some crazy stuff, man, that happened that run, and I can't even really describe because it's just some elite stuff. Trey Savage came in, did his job. Trey Savage, Shane Bieber, Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, and then they'll figure out the last one. They have a lot of different options for that. So, again, like I said, it's pretty amazing stuff, and it's a great deal for the Jays, in my opinion. It's a pretty penny for a guy with those type of numbers, but because of his skill and talent and everything we've seen, he played for a decent ball club last year. But again, he hasn't unlocked that final potential that makes him an elite pitcher. He's a top 5 pick. I really think the Jays can do it. So there's a lot of optimism for me in that, and I like Dylan Cease and the Blue Jays' direction. They're going to have to get another bat. I'm not going to lie. I mean, their bats prove they can hit. Ernie Clement, Addison Barger, they came in and were absolutely phenomenal. I love Addison Barger. I love Ernie Clement. Like, those are guys that I'll always remember, even if they don't pan out next year, which I really think they will. But it's really tough to go and do what they did again. You know, Ernie Clement beating the hit record. So I'm really excited for this Jays team this year. But again, Bo Bichette might be gone. And if you lose Bo Bichette, you have to go get another bat. The big home run he hit in Game 7, that was the biggest home run, one of the biggest if they were able to win that game. And it didn't pay off, right? So he's just such a clutch hitter. We had him all postseason. Man, oh man, would they have rocked teams. So I didn't really expect them to beat the Yankees, right? I was really happy that they got the bye, but I did not expect them to get a win against the Yankees. And they went out there and dominated. Absolutely dominated. So, again, big props to them. It'll be really interesting to see what they do. But there's talk about Kyle Tucker. There's talk about guys, right? But if Bo is 100% not back, which I saw a report that he was meeting with the Red Sox the other week, if he's not back, you have to get another bat of some sort. Andres Jimenez can play shortstop, but you can move guys around, right? You have some guys who can play in different positions. So you have to get another elite bat if Bo's gone. I would obviously want Bo. He's such an elite hitter, man. I want him back so quickly. But if that can't happen, then look elsewhere, right? So you just can't roll in with the lineup without Bo because all season long it's not going to work. So you need another elite bat. Let's get into the NFL a little bit here, and then we'll get into the Olympics, and then we'll shut this one off. NFL, man. What a season it's been for my Los Angeles Rams. Let's just start with that. Rams are winning the Super Bowl. Like, there's some people that are probably listening that'll be like, what this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? But I just want you to hear me out. This team's sitting at 10-3. Realistically, they should be 12-1 because they choked 2 games where they had multi-point leads. Or I guess one game they had a multi-point lead. The other game they had the ball on the other team's 1-yard line and fumbled, okay? So let's basically say they're 12-1 if they win those games, okay? They're sitting at 10-3 right now, leading the NFC. The Packers are behind them at 9-3, but really the Seahawks are behind them at 10-3. The Rams beating the Seahawks the first try. The Rams are going to have to beat the Seahawks again based on interdivision record. So the Rams beat them again. They play them, I believe, 2 weeks from now on Thursday Night Football, which will be an excellent game. Probably the biggest one. And I think that the problem with that, it's going to be like the Vikings-Lions the other year. Like, the Rams are going to have to play a really good team if they lose that game. They'd have to play probably the Bucs, which, to be honest, doesn't really scare me too much. But the Bucs or the Eagles, like, I don't want to play one of those teams in round 1 because they're really good football clubs and they find ways to get wins. So, you know, we'll see. The Niners are also at 9-4. The Bears are 9-4 as well. These are teams that are all very good. I'm not too worried about the Bears. I think they'll bump out. The Lions are not in the playoff spot right now. We play the Lions this week on Sunday, which is fun. Sunday afternoon, it'll be an enjoyable game. But truth be told, there's some good teams in the NFC, some really good teams. All these teams, Rams, the Packers, great stuff. The Eagles, good stuff. Eagles are kind of struggling as of late, 2-3 in their last 5, but they'll figure it out. They're normally a team that's got some guys that'll figure it out. Saquon's not having a great year, but playoff-wise, I think he'll turn it on. The Bucs are really struggling as of late, 1-4 in their last 5. I think they'll figure it out eventually. Just takes time. I will note the Rams in points per game are 29. The next closest team, I guess the Seahawks are also 29, so those are the 2 tops, and the Lions are at 30. So offensively, the Rams have one of the best offenses in the league. I mean, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, and Matthew Stafford having an MVP year. I don't really care what people say about Drake May. You go look at the Patriots schedule. I mean, it's literally they play a bunch of bombs. The Rams are playing good teams week in and week out. So Stafford's my MVP, which I definitely am biased, but we'll see. If they lose another game, they're probably going to end up giving it to May, but I really do think he deserves it based on his career that he's had and, the struggle he had in Detroit with the organization. But again, there's some big games coming up in the NFC, and the Bears are going to get another crack at the Packers as well, so that'll really interest me. Moving on to the AFC. The Broncos and the Patriots and the Jags are the top three. And then the Steelers. If I told you that, Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, Steelers leading the divisions at the start of the year, would you believe me? Definitely not. The Patriots, unbelievable year. I know they're not playing great teams, but they are on fire. And the Broncos somehow are finding ways to get wins. Like Bo Nix, Sean Payton is such a great coach. Bo Nix is having a good year, but they don't have a lot of offensive firepower. Their defense is just so darn good, and their offense does enough to get the wins that it doesn't really matter because they have some elite defenders. They're one of those teams that are only going to be good for this year because they'll lose some guys on D, but man, oh man, are they good defensively, and they're a scary team in the AFC. Same with the Patriots. The Jags, I'm not too worried about them. I low-key think they're not that great, so yeah. The Steelers, I don't think they're that good either. The Ravens have really fallen off. I think the Ravens will find a way to get back in that spot. Unless the Steelers can win out, and that means the Ravens, I don't think, find the playoff spot, which is pretty crazy to say. The Chargers at 9-4, Bills at 9-4, and Texans at 8-5, Colts at 8-5 with Daniel Jones out for the season. But Phillip Rivers got signed for the practice squad. I've never heard of a 44-year-old coming back to play football. He hasn't played football in 5 years, and the guy's coming back to play for the Colts, and maybe will start, which is crazy. I mean, I know he's playing practice squad right now, but with Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard, and Daniel Jones out, that really would change things, and it'd be wild to see a 45, 44-year-old playing football. I know Tom Brady could have done it, but it's just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Sorry, I'm pretty tired. The Texans, I don't think that are that good. To be honest, I think the Ravens should be over them. The Chiefs are at 6-7 right now, which is crazy. They have not been good. They are 1-4 in their last 5. They have not played good football. Mahomes hasn't looked good. Their offense hasn't looked good. Their defense has not been great. But it'd be crazy if the Chiefs missed the playoffs. Like, I would not expect that. I think they'll find a way to sneak in there somehow. But if they lose one more, I think they're really done as time's running out. Bengals, unfortunately, lost to the Bills in an absolute shootout last week, even though, playoff hopes would have been alive. They would have been at 5-8, and they'd have a chance to sneak away in there. The other teams, Jets, Browns, Raiders, Titans, all stink and are just throwing out their rookies like Shador and giving the ball to Ashton Genty and letting Cam Ward rip it. So, again, none of those teams are really threatening at all. So, it should be entertaining football down the stretch. We'll get into our preview for this week. Thursday night football, we have the Falcons against the Bucs at 6:15. By the time you're listening to this might have happened. I expect to take the Bucs in this one. Sunday, 11 a.m., we got the Browns and the Bears. Bears should easily have that one, even though the Browns wish Store can make it a little interesting with the defense that the Browns have. They didn't have a great week last week, though, against the Titans, which has a terrible offense. So, Ravens and Bengals, a big game for the Ravens, so we'll see. I expect the Bengals to put up a bit of a fight as their playoff hopes are kind of done, but they'll put up a fight because they love playing football. The Cards and the Texans. The Cards have actually been sneakily good, so this could be a close game. This is a game where you'd be like, oh, maybe the Cards have a chance to win this football game because Jacoby Brissett has been surprisingly good. So maybe we'll see the Cardinals beat the Texans. There's a chance. Jets and Jaguars. Jaguars should have it. I mean, the Jets are literally, in my opinion, they're the worst team in the league. They have nothing going for them. They have nothing bright. Like, they're a horrid organization. Chargers and Chiefs. If Chargers beat the Chiefs are done, which would be absolutely huge. It's a must win for the Chiefs, though. I expect them to come out and battle, and I mean, I probably take the Chiefs in that one because of just the desperation they're going to have. Another big 11 a.m. game. Bills and Pats. I have the Bills getting the best of the Patriots. I can't believe the Patriots are 11-2. And I think the Bills and the way Josh Allen played last week will humble them. Commanders and Giants. Oh my gosh, worst of the worst. I expect the Giants to take a win. Jackson Dart back at the helm. The Commanders didn't even score a point last week. So I expect the Giants to take it. Eagles and Raiders. Raiders stink. Eagles should take it. If the Raiders beat the Eagles, that's major panic for the Eagles. Packers and Broncos. That is a great football game there. I like the Packers. To be honest, actually, no, I don't like that pick. I like the Broncos because it feels like whenever Jordan Love plays a really, really good defense, he finds a way to struggle. So I got the Broncos in this one. Their defense is so good. They got so many good pass rushers. They got PS2, great DBs, just crazy stuff. I got the Broncos in that one. That's the first afternoon game. The second afternoon game, Panthers and Saints. Panthers are somehow got a chance to be the top of the division against the Bucs. Panthers could sneak into the playoffs. Bryce Young's having a relatively good year, and defense isn't horrible. So, I got the Panthers easy in this one. Even though the Saints are coming off a win against the Bucs, which helped the Panthers. So, interdivision record could come into play. Colts and Seahawks. I have the Seahawks 100%. Like, Colts are missing a quarterback, so we don't even know who's starting there, right? So, Titans and Niners. I have the Niners. The Titans stink. I mean, that's obvious. Vikings and Cowboys. This is an intriguing game. That's a night game. Cowboys have played a lot of primetime games. They've been a really up and down team. They're either playing very well and beating the Eagles, or they're not playing well and losing to the Lions. So it's really up and down, but J.J. McCarthy hasn't figured out how to be a quarterback yet in the NFL. He's really up and down as well. So this is a really two up and down teams, but I have the Cowboys in this one. They just have more experience, and the Vikings seem to struggle, so they got to get that thing on the right road, and their coach can definitely do it. Dolphins and Steelers Monday night game. Dolphins found a way to get back into it, even though after a really rough year, they're 6-7 right now. The Steelers are 7-6. They got a chance to make playoffs again if they win out. 10-7 maybe doesn't even get you in, but they got a chance. I'm not gonna lie, they got a chance. Steelers at 7-6, pretty much a must win. I think the Ravens will find a way to sneak back, but Lamar looks hurt. They just look like they're missing pieces. I'm not even gonna lie. So we'll see with that. But in that game, I probably have the Steelers. I don't really think Miami's that good. So I guess we'll see. But should be interesting. And then we get to the more Christmas games and getting close to that time of the year as we do a pod next week. Either way, though, it should be a fun week of football. Rams. Oh, I forgot to mention Rams and Lions are are the other afternoon game. I have the Rams, obviously. I really do think the Rams need to beat the Lions. Like, this is the best time they can do it. They've lost to them twice. Let's go do it. Like, they should have beaten them the second time. And whatever it is, Matthew Stafford just figures out a way to struggle against these guys. But let's go get it done. Like, you win this one, and you're going to have to go on. You're going to have to play the Seahawks next week. If you got to win one of these two games. And if you lose against the Lions, you have to beat the Seahawks. But if you beat the Lions, it's hard to say, though. This game isn't must win, but the Seahawks game definitely is, because that decides the division, and yeah. So that's going to be crazy. And the Niners are right there, too. So the Rams, like, such a tough division to be top. And then they have Falcons, Cardinals, which should be 2 free wins. The Rams have the Falcons first-round pick, which is going to be a top 10 pick, and the Falcons keep losing. It could get better and better, which could be crazy. And the Rams are going to have a top 10 pick and another pick and they're going to be a top team in the league, which is crazy. Great management. One of the only good managed teams that I actually watch, which is really, really nice. We'll get into one more thing. The Team Canada Olympic roster, okay? I'm going to put a little article up, something on my Instagram soon that has me and some of my friends' Canadian rosters. I should actually send them a text because they need to do that. But man, oh man, am I excited for these Olympics coming up in Italy, which it's going to be some really, really fun hockey. But we learned that the rink's a little behind and that it's 3 feet shorter, which is all in the neutral zone. I don't think it'll affect the game that much. 3 feet in the neutral zone, it actually makes it feels a little shorter for sure if you're a player. But, I mean, the game's so tight, checking anyways, that it'll make it some more elite hockey and elite games. But I'm going to put up my Olympic roster right here over my face. Hopefully you can see. I can edit it in. But I really, really think that this should be the guys that are in it. I think Bedard and Celebrini, we have all the scoring we need. Team Canada has all the scoring they could want. They have McDavid. They have McKinnon. They got guys all over the lineup who can score goals. And if you bump in Sam Bennett and Tom Wilson, who will check you, and America will be like, okay, we'll throw out the Kachuk. Well, we'll be like, yeah, let's go throw out Tom Wilson and Sam Bennett. Who wants to play against those guys? And they score big goals. Tom Wilson is a 30-goal scorer, 40-goal scorer. Sam Bennett scores a ton of goals, a ton of big goals too. We saw it in the Stanley Cup Final. We saw it last year in the Four Nations. These guys score big goals, right? So it's not like they can't score. They can score, and they can play any role you need them to. You need some guys that are going to be gritty because that game of hockey is so tight. You need guys who are going to be able to do that. And to be honest, Bedard and Celebrini, I know how talented they are, but where are you going to slot them in, right? Like, you have the top players in the world, and it's not an all-star game. You don't need all scoring. You need some guys who are going to come in and be gritty and play PK roles and check and stuff like that. So it's really important, and I think they'll definitely be on the roster. They might just not be in my starting lineup. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if one of them got in because of their talent, and we've seen Bedard in those big World Junior games. So this is another step. So it's the highest level of hockey being played, and I think that's needs to be understood. Goalie-wise, I think Logan Thompson will be the backup, and Logan Thompson will start based on Binnington's numbers this year. But I think what Canada will do is give Binnington the start, and if he's not great, then go to Thompson because they have two solid options, and Binnington's having a really rough year. He's one of the worst goalies in the league stat-wise this year, but I really don't think that's relevant when it comes to the Four Nations because he seems to turn it on in big games, and he probably won us the Four Nations. So, that's some elite stuff, and I'm really excited for this Olympics, and hopefully that they get the construction done, or else they're not even going to send the players over, which would be a bummer for everyone involved. But yeah, other than that, I don't have much else to say. I'm excited for sports. It's an exciting week, and I'm really intrigued to see how everything plays out with Team Canada. The Jays push in, the Oilers push in. There's a lot of things that can happen in this next week. The NFL that will change up the entire leagues for all of them, and yeah, it just should be entertaining stuff. As we should just wrap this one up. I'll stick to the schedule and keep going back to every Tuesday, keeping on the grind every Tuesday, and bringing you episodes every Tuesday. You can always check out my Instagram, UNManning97, and then I'll have all my links and stuff tagged in there, Manning Show, whatever you want to watch, read. Check out my sports site, unsports.com. Some really entertaining stuff there. You can read. I have some of my friends doing articles, but yeah, other than that, I hope you enjoy listening, and we'll try and keep this thing going. Have a good night. Have a good day. Enjoy sports.
Bye.